Welcome to The Explainer! Alright, today we're unpacking a seriously chilling narrative that is literally a masterclass in suspense and local folklore. We're going to be tracing the fateful steps of four friends: Ryan, Jake, Ethan, and Noah. Picture this, okay? It's a biting cold October evening. The crisp autumn air is just stinging their faces as they hike back from a camping trip through this incredibly dense, quiet forest. But out of nowhere, their journey just stops. Deep in the woods, miles from any trail, they stumble upon something completely out of place: an ancient, abandoned well. Now, you know that's the kind of discovery that immediately sets off alarm bells in your head, right? But as we'll see, human curiosity is this unbelievably powerful and sometimes really dangerous thing. So let's break down exactly how this story uses that curiosity against us.
Okay, let's dive into this, because this right here is where the narrative completely hooks you. The group is standing around this mysterious well, kinda uneasy, but definitely intrigued. Ryan shines his flashlight down, but the beam is just swallowed whole by the endless dark. And then, breaking the dead silence of that October forest, they hear it. A faint, childlike whisper echoing up from the depths. The words were so simple, but absolutely terrifying. "Help me." The four friends literally freeze in their tracks. Ethan asks if anyone else heard it, and they all just nod. It wasn't the wind, guys. It was a voice. A young girl, pleading from the abyss.
Now, to really grasp why this is so deeply unsettling, we've got to look at the physical state of this, well, they found out in the middle of nowhere. I mean, it wasn't just old, it felt completely forgotten by time. The stones making up the circular wall were severely cracked, worn down by decades of harsh weather. Thick, dark vines had completely overrun the sides, almost like the forest itself was trying to drag the structure back down into the dirt. And the inside? Just pure, endless darkness. It's an absolutely brilliant setting for a horror narrative because it taps directly into our primal fear of the unknown. No bottom in sight, just an impenetrable black void that somehow produced a living voice.
You know, your survival instinct should definitely be screaming at you to run at this point. Noah, to his credit, immediately says they need to leave, but Jake leans closer to that dark opening and calls out, asking who's down there. For a few agonizing seconds, there is nothing but dead silence. And then, echoing from incredibly deep inside the well, comes the response, "I'm trapped." Well, that does it for the group. I mean, the sheer impossibility of someone surviving down there, combined with the eerie acoustics of the well, it sends the nervous friends packing. As they hurry away, the voice actually follows them, begging them not to leave. Talk about a deeply unsettling retreat.
But as you might guess, leaving the forest didn't mean they left the nightmare behind. That night, Ryan is tossing and turning. He just can't get that haunting whisper out of his head. Suddenly, he wakes up with a start and looks at his clock. 3:17 a.m. Now, why does this exact time matter? Because right at that moment, Ryan hears the exact same whisper, "Help me," coming right outside his bedroom window. He jumps up, looks into the dark, but there's absolutely no one there. And here is the truly terrifying part. When he calls his three friends the next morning, he finds out that every single one of them experienced the exact same thing at the exact same time. The voice had followed them all home.
And this brilliantly illustrates a classic trope we see a lot in suspense narratives: the inevitable return to the source of the terror. They were terrified, sure, but now they're driven by this desperate need for answers, so the group decides they absolutely have to go back to the well. But they aren't going in blind this time. They pack ropes, heavy-duty flashlights, and cameras. They are completely determined to document whatever is down there. But when they get back to the site, the vibe has drastically shifted. The forest is unnervingly silent. No birds singing, no insects chirping, just a heavy, suffocating silence surrounding those ancient stones.
Let's move to and see how this builds, because the tension here is wild. Ryan securely ties a camera to a long rope and starts lowering it into the pitch-black abyss, while the rest of the group huddles around a monitor to watch the live feed. 20 feet down, nothing but damp stone. 30 feet down, the darkness just gets thicker. 50 feet down, and still absolutely no bottom in sight. They are literally staring at a live feed of an impossibly deep hole, holding their breath, just waiting for the camera to hit the ground.
Then, suddenly, the camera abruptly stops descending. The screen flickers violently, and this burst of static washes over the live display. And then, for just a horrifying split second, the static clears, and the camera captures an image. A pale girl, completely black, soulless eyes, and stretched across her face is this wide, totally unnatural smile. Before the friends can even process what they are looking at, the signal completely dies. And at that exact moment, The rope in Ryan's hands suddenly gets impossibly heavy. It's as if something or someone has grabbed hold of him from the darkness below.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the psychological pivot of the story. The friends are completely panicked at this point, right? So they pull the rope up with all their combined strength. When the camera finally breaches the surface, it is completely shattered and caked in thick mud. But honestly, that's not even the worst part. Attached to the broken camera is a soaking wet piece of paper. Ryan unfolds it with trembling hands, and written in shaky, jagged handwriting are just 3 chilling words: "I found you." The dynamic has completely flipped. They aren't the ones investigating anymore. They are the ones being hunted.
The aftermath is devastating, and let me tell you, it happens with terrifying speed. That very night, Jake disappears without a single trace. His family searches frantically, but there isn't a single clue left behind. Then, just 2 days later, Ethan vanishes under the exact same inexplicable circumstances. And soon after that, Noah is gone too. One by one, Ryan's friends are just erased from existence, leaving the local police completely baffled and just grasping at straws. Ryan is now entirely alone. He's the last surviving member of the group that peered into that well.
So the crucial point here is understanding what exactly they woke up. Driven by grief and honestly a bit of obsession, Ryan dives into the local archives to uncover the dark history of this structure, and he finds it, a decaying newspaper article detailing a 70-year-old local tragedy. A young girl had fallen into that very well and her body was never recovered. The local villagers have long claimed that her restless spirit haunts the surrounding forest, and that anyone unlucky enough to hear her voice is marked for disappearance. This leads Ryan to a horrifying realization, a storytelling trope come to life. The voice wasn't asking to be saved. The spirit didn't want help. It wanted victims.
Realizing he is the final target, Ryan makes the only logical choice left. He packs his belongings into his car, intending to flee the town and just never return. But as he's loading his trunk in the dead of night, his cell phone rings. It's an unknown number. Against every ounce of his better judgment, he answers it. And through the speaker, cutting right through the silence of the night, comes that same dreadful, familiar whisper. "Thank you for finding me." He just drops the phone in pure terror.
The second that phone hits the ground, every single streetlight around him shorts out. The world is plunged into absolute pitch-black darkness. And in that suffocating quiet, a sound begins. Footsteps, slow, deliberate, echoing on the pavement right behind him. The pacing of the story here is just incredible. It strips away all modern defenses, the phone, the car, the lights, and reduces Ryan to pure instinctual fear as those slow steps begin to advance.
But the footsteps aren't just slow, they are heavy, unnaturally heavy. Ryan breaks into a desperate, exhausted sprint down the dark road. His lungs are burning, his adrenaline is completely maxed out, but no matter how fast he runs, the heavy, dragging sound of those footsteps never fades. They maintain the exact same distance behind him. It's a brilliant use of sensory detail, really placing us right in Ryan's shoes, making us feel the sheer hopelessness of trying to outrun the impossible.
And then the pursuit reaches its climax. The footsteps draw closer, closer, closer. Finally, with his energy entirely spent, Ryan makes the fatal mistake of looking back. And there, standing right in the middle of the dark road, is the pale girl from the camera. She's smiling that unnatural smile, her solid black eyes fixed directly on him. Ryan lets out a final scream before everything, for him, goes permanently dark.
The next morning reveals a pretty chilling aftermath. Ryan's car is found abandoned near the edge of the forest, the trunk still open, all his belongings untouched. Ryan himself is never seen again. He joined Jake, Ethan, and Noah in whatever dark fate awaited them. Years later, the locals know better than to ever venture into those woods. The well remains out there, hidden among the overgrown trees, just a deadly legacy waiting in absolute silence for its next visitor.
It's a masterfully structured, cautionary tale about curiosity and the things that are honestly best left undisturbed in the dark, which leaves us with one final, lingering thought to ponder long after this explainer wraps up. If you ever find yourself walking near the edge of a quiet forest and you hear a faint, childlike whisper reaching out to you from the dark, will you answer? Thank you so much for joining me today, and hey, stay curious but cautious out there.